Hey there, nation. Welcome to the show. We help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and now it's time for another edition of Tales from the Underhive. This is Tales from the Underhive Necromunda Battle Report number 29. It is a Dome Rush scenario, and this one's a little bit different because in a Dome Rush scenario, you actually don't have two gangs that fight it out. What you actually have are four gangs fighting out. In this case, it is the Jury versus 9/11 versus Pelago-Slam Kings versus the Sleeping Dogs. This is a four-way death match, basically what it is. It's between House Cawdor, between House Van Saar, House Goliath, as well as House Delaque. So because of that, these four gangs will be fighting out for possession of the dome. We'll go through each of the gang rosters real quick so that way you can see what each gang is bringing, which members are going to be fighting the scenario, and then we'll talk about the scenario rules and going on directly to the battle report. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for deployment. As you can see, we're fighting on a 4x6 table because we have four different gangs that are involved in this one. Each table edge belongs to a different gang. Pretty much how the scenario rules work, you roll off to see who goes first. You also roll off to see who basically deploys. At the same time, the objective here is to be basically the last gang standing. So you have four gangs fighting it out. Whoever ends up being the winner because the other three have bottled out will be the one who claims this dome. And not only that, but you also roll 3d6 to determine how much wealth you get. 3d6 times 10 credits, how much money you get from the territory. If you roll a double in those 3d6, you actually get a territory added to your roster, and if you roll triple, you actually get two territories. So it's actually kind of a neat kind of little scenario here as well. So typical rules apply. You get a d6 experience point if you survive, 5 experience points per wound that you cause, plus 10 for the gang leader that is also the successful gang leader in this scenario. So let's go ahead and talk about the individual deployment zones on this one, and we'll go ahead and talk about the battle report. Alright, so we're going to start off with the Van Saar. The Van Saar sit on the near side of the board, which is actually kind of funny because when we rolled up on this scenario, the original battle report was supposed to be between my Jury of my House Cawdor versus my buddy Warlord Ace of House Van Saar with his 9/11 crew. But because he decided to want to do the Dome Rush scenario because he's got to choose, we got two other gangs on this one. So as you can see here, pretty much my buddy, he just kind of divided up his forces into two forces. He's basically got his assault team here on the right-hand side. He's got his Jews as well as two of his close combat gangers. He's also got 3 pit slaves located there as well. On the left hand side, he's got his leaders fire team, which pretty much makes up of all the members armed with auto sluggers as well as heavy stubbers. He also has his leader in that unit as well. So that pretty much makes up his deployment on this side. On the far side of the board, Brother Grimm set up his Goliaths, his Pelago-Slam Kings. As you can see, he's kind of divided up his unit into like 3 different fire teams. Looks like he's got his Jews okay on the left-hand side, that little golden structure there with 2 members of Rager and Craze, as well as Crank. Those are the guys armed with the bolt guns right at the base of that. He's also got his 2 last gun building Goliath members near the pylon there on the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, he's got his leader with his 2 heavies, and to take out the front, you also got Porter and Gage. Those are 2 gangers armed with auto rifles, so that's where Brother Grimm set up his forces. And on the far side of the board, on the right-hand side, you have the Sleeping Dogs. As you can see, pretty much his gang is divided up into pretty much 2 halves. He's got his Jews as well as his gangers make up his first fire team, which is on the base of that pylon there on the top of the screen. And he's got his 2 heavies, Tiny, as well as Painless Joe, armed with heavy stubber, as well as rocket launcher at the base of the MCI Chemical Works tower that's located there as well. So that pretty much makes up the Sleeping Dogs deployment on the right-hand side. And finally, on the left-hand side of the board, we have the rest of my gang, which is my Jury, my House Cawdor gang. So you can see on the very far left-hand side, I've got a far right-hand side rather. I got a 5-man fire team that consists of my leader, my heavy, as well as my 3 Juves. On the very far right-hand side there, I got Scorpion, as well as Lemon Head and Zero. Those are my snipers, my suppressive element. On the left-hand side of my deployment, I have a 6-man fire team. As you can see there, I got Darkside, as well as Mondo and DJ. I also got VR located there, as well as Tetsuo, as well as Johnny's armed with his plasma gun. So that makes up my left-hand fire team. And chilling off on the side of the board, because these 4 have infiltrators rules, or the rest of my gang members, I got Darkside, as well as Reptile, Sworder, my heavies armed with a grenade launcher, and finally I also have Red Harvest, my Rat Skin Scout. They're going to be coming in on turn 2 because of the infiltrator special rule for those guys. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, go directly to the top of turn number 1 for this one. Alright, so I get to go first because I won the initiative on this part, and pretty much my entire turn is spent moving. And the reason why is because the rest of my opponents are out of range of my weapons, and I also ran, and plus a lot of those guys are in cover, so there's no real thing for me to be shooting at anyways. So I pretty much ran my gang forward, just kind of having them occupy fighting positions here on the left-hand side of the board. This game, the Dome Rush, the players are encouraged to backstab each other, to make alliances, to make temporary raids, that sort of thing. So I got the sneaky suspicion that a couple gangs will be teaming up to go up against me, just because my gang is the most powerful one in our campaign so far. So I decided what I'm going to try to do is kind of occupy this left-hand side, get myself into some favorable fighting positions so that way I can kind of hold these area down, make them come to me, because I'm looking at more of a defensive fight. So if you look here on the left-hand side, you can see I got my autogun crew as well as my shotgunner with Jockey heading towards Alexander's apartment store. At the same time, I got Johnny. I ran him up to the top of that entryway with his plasma gun, so that way he can also get to the main area and start laying down suppressive fire. I also got my 3 Jews, that's Reese, Tango, as well as Mad Teddy. They're at the base of that walkway there, so that way they're kind of occupying the center. I got Riptor as well as Stubber, who's my heavy, heading towards that same central gantry way as well. On the very far right hand side, I got Zero, Lemon Head, as well as Scorpion taking their positions in that gantry way, so that way they can start sniping and protecting my right hand flank. And that pretty much makes up my movement for this one. And that takes us directly to House Delaque with the sleeping dogs. As you can see in this photo, he pretty much, my buddy just, Sergeant Singering, just pretty much sends his guys going as quickly as he possibly can towards those craters, as well as the MCI Chemical Works area. As you can see on the right hand side, he put his 2 heavies on the top of that Chemical Works tower, which is actually a pretty good location for him because he has a heavy stubber, which has a 48-inch range, and he also has a missile launcher with a 70-inch range, so they're going to pretty much be out of the way of any incoming fire coming directly at them, but they can also pump out a lot of fire from their base location, so pretty good idea for those guys as well, so that's pretty impressive. Also, you can't really see it because off screen at the top of the gantryway there, he also ran up Wesley, which is a sniper, and I believe her name is Silk. That's the girl who's packing a last gun as well, so that way they can occupy that little platform there on the bottom of that right hand pylon there. And like before, since these guys ran and there's nobody really in range, there is no shooting for them. And here's the top of turn number 1 for the Goliath with Brother Grimm's Pelago-Slam Kings. And when I see him make this maneuvering that he's doing here towards the right-hand side of the board, that kind of tells me that he's made a deal with one of the other 2 members of the gangs. He's either made a deal with my buddy Warlord Ace, Warlord Ace, or he's made a deal with Sergeant Sigmarine to kind of gang up on me. So as you can see here, he pretty much starts going across as quick as he possibly can across the river sludge. That river sludge you see there, if you fall into that sludge, you automatically got to have action. However, Porter as well as Gage, they both leapt over that, so that because of that they got across it pretty safely, they successfully passed their initiative tests. Also, you can see that you got Scalp Taker as well as the Headhunter taking up cover positions on that little golden tower thing, so that way you can start taking shots with last guns, and the rest of his gang starts heading towards the side of that sludge river in order to cross it. On the very top, you also see Blitzkrieg Bob as well as Grizz and Stuka, who's his 2 heavies, heading towards that the Coke Crown complex, which is that huge tower structure there on the right hand side of the board. And finally, for 9/11 for House Van Saar, they pretty much moved as well. Pretty much everyone ran, and since everyone's out of range of opening fire, I can see right out that the Van Saars are sold to me as well. They all basically kind of butt hook left and start making up movements through the gantryways to make it to the metro station, as well as our guys on the ground, kind of skirting around the metro station, hitting them in the left-hand flank. And that kind of tells me right off the bat that already I know that 2 guys have made alliances against me. That's both Warlord Ace as well as Brother Grimm, which makes sense because their gangs are the weakest ones in terms of the gang ratings, and they can dominate and take out both myself as well as Sergeant Sigmarine. Then they'll just have to contend with each other, and then they could be the victors. So that pretty much makes up all the movements for round turn number 1. And that takes us directly to turn number 2 for the Cawdor. So this mode is taken directly after the move phase. Now that I know that I'm being attacked on 2 sides from both the Goliaths as well as 9/11, I start preparing myself immediately. As you can see, I kind of deploy my troops on the left-hand side, taking cover positions along the Oaken Crown complex, that crater in the middle of the table, as well as the Alexander's department store to take on the wave of Goliaths that are coming my way. At the same time, I also shift right with my forces. I have Riptor as well as Stubber. I also got Johnny located in that central gantry there, so that way they can start laying suppressive fire at the sleeping dogs, as well as the 9/11 guys who are kind of like catty-cornered to the right-hand side of me. I also took my Jews and moved to the base of the metro station so that they can start engaging forces that are coming around that right-hand side. And I also took my 3 snipers and have aim at the right-hand side as well to deal with any Van Saar that come around that corner. Here's a close-up of my gangers. I got VR and Jock in the left-hand side. I also got Mondo and Tetsuo. Sorry, not Mondo. DJ and Tetsuo right there in the middle of the crater. I got Mondo holding the right-hand side of the Alexander's department store. As you can see, I can see both Porter as well as Gage. So I'm going to be opening up those guys here during the shooting phase. And on the right-hand side, I can see the very first, I think that's Swayze, I believe who that is. That's that Van Saar guy is taking point right there. Or he's walking right into the middle of a field of fire between my Jews as well as my gangers on the top with las guns. And here's another shot of Johnny as well as Stubber and Riptor taking cover positions to locate at because they're laying some fire onto those Van Saar. And because also round number 2 for me, I can basically use my infiltrators. As you can see, all 4 of my infiltrators pop up right at the top of the metro tower. I have Red Harvest on the right hand side, followed by Sorter there in the middle, followed by Dark Side as well as Reptile. And they have perfect lines of shot to hit everything that's on the top of that gantry and start taking those guys out. And so with moving over, we go directly to the shooting phase. Needless to say, during the shooting phase, I open up with Stubber as well as Riptor. I also open up with Johnny. I also open up with my 4 infiltrators on the very top. And basically, as you can see, I just rake the entire top of that walkway. Unfortunately for me, I forgot to take a photo of the bottom walkway where there's a lot more members of the Van Saar down there as well. I also take out a lot of those guys as well, give them flesh wounds and put them down as well. So that part was pretty epic. At the same time, since I shot 2 of those guys who were on the very top, they failed their initiative test. They also fell to the ground here. Also took wounds, so these guys are down as well for the count. As in the back as well, I also put down Tugs as well, so he's down, not out of action, but he's down for the count, so that was very helpful. And at the same time, as you can see, I also took out not only Nero, but I also took down, what's his name? Moloko, that's the name of the guy. That's the guy that's on with the auto slugger. He's also laying down there as well. He's also taking out down for the count as well. And plus, if he should recover, he'll also be flesh wounded as well. So very successful round of shooting for my guys so far. Unfortunately, the only one that basically got a shot off and actually wounded a hit was Limited, so he managed to put another wound onto Swayze, so that guy's also got a wound put on top of him as well. But unfortunately for him, though, I'm sorry, that's Tugs. I'm sorry, his name is Tugs. That's the guy who actually has 2 wounds on him. Oh, wait, no. That's Souljax. I'm sorry, that guy's name is Souljax. He's got 2 wounds, so because of that, he's able to just take the wound and has 1 more as well. But some of my other shots failed, so that part was kind of sad. And my buddy Tetsuo managed to put another wound onto, also not only did he manage to hit a wound and also successfully hit and wound Gage, he also managed to put that guy out of action as well. Unfortunately for Tetsuo though, because he cut loose, he rolled a 6 in order to hit, and he automatically failed his ammo roll test because he has a drum magazine added to his rifle. So that pretty much makes the shooting phase for my turn. Since no one's engaged in close combat, there's no need for recovery. We go directly to the top of turn number 2 for the sleeping dogs. For the most part, during the move phase, he starts moving his guys forward and runs the ball up again. He's got his Jews taking cover between those craters as well as the police cars in the center of the board. At the same time, he has Wesley as well as Miss Spectre located on the top of that little walkway there, so that they can start laying down some suppressive fire with the long-range fire of their guns. At the same time, he moves with Mr. Sinister, Silk, as well as Mr. Smug. They're located on the walkway. The idea, I think, is that he's going to try to cross those MCI chemical tanks, and they get on the walkway and join the bridge to help out the Van Saar as well, or attack the Van Saar. But I'm starting to think that maybe all 3 gangs might be coming at me because they're not shooting at each other, which is actually kind of rough. Here's a close-up of Wesley as well as Miss Spectre taking up sniper positions here on the bottom of the pylon. And here's a close-up of Noob, Slick, as well as Ghost. The Jews moving through the crater, and in the back there you got Mr. Slick. That's his name. Slick is his name, just Slick. That's the guy with the shotgun. He's also taking cover behind that police car. And here's a close-up of Mr. Smug as well as Mr. Sinister, and as well as Slick getting ready to Silk, get ready to cross those MCI chemical work tanks. During the shooting phase, Tiny opens up with his frag missiles from his missile launcher. He does manage to hit as Riptor as well as Stubber, but unfortunately he fails to wound any of them. My guys passed initiative check, so I have to worry about falling off the gantry. However, when he rolled to hit, he did roll a 6, so he had to take an ammo roll test. Because he's carrying a missile launcher, he automatically fails his ammo roll test, so because of that, he has a misfire. So now his bazooka is completely useless for the rest of the turn. So that part was kind of nice. However, when it came to Tiny the Stubber, though, things did not work out so well for me. Tiny opens up with his heavy stubborn, just rakes the roof of the MTI terminal, manages to take down 2 of my guys. He also put Red Harvest out of action, so now that guy's gonna have to roll up on the wounds and injury tables to see exactly what happens to him. At the same time, he also puts down Sorter for the count as well. Luckily for me, Darkside and Reptile are okay, so they can still keep on fighting from their positions, but I'm starting to realize now that because the Delaque opened up on me and not shot at anybody else, this tells me that now all 3 of my friends, Warlord Ace, Brother Grim, as well as Sergeant Sigmarine, are planning on taking me out first and then deal with each other afterwards. So yay, yeah, that's just awesome. Alright, so then comes to turn number 2 for the Goliath. As you can see, Brother Grim just starts taking his entire line of Goliath fighters and just has them run parallel with that Sludge River, which is actually a pretty good idea, because I realized that because he's located there on the other side of the Sludge River and he's running so close to the wall, those guys are in defilade to me, where that means they're in dead space. Dead space means that I can see them, but because I can't really see them from line of sight from my shooters, from my where they put them located at, so because of that, they can't be engaged from my guys on the right hand side of my formation, right between the street between Alexander's department store and the Oak Crown complex. I won't be able to shoot him that way. I also can't shoot him from where the MTI tower is or the walkways are, so because he's kind of hugging that wall and he runs those guys right towards that little crossing point, because he's going to try to assault across that bridge, so that's pretty deadly. At the same time, he also moves a Blitzkrieg as well as Stuka to the balcony that you see there on the right hand side. He keeps Grizz where he's located, because Grizz actually has really good line of sight with his heavy plasma gun at my gantry walkway, so that's also really unfortunate. At the same time, he keeps Headhunter and Scalp Taker where they're at, because they can shoot right between the streets towards my guys, and that just kind of works out pretty badly. So because then we go directly to the shooting phase. And in the shooting phase, the Headhunter manages to hit as well as wound DJ. So because that he's down right now. He's not dead yet, but he's just down for the count, so that's kind of rough as well. The most horrifying aspect, though, is when Grizz opened up with his heavy plasma gun. Luckily for me, though, he missed his shots. And the reason why is because Grizz is just a brand new heavy. He's packing a heavy plasma gun. So because that, he's not very, very good yet with his plasma cannon. So that's kind of a good thing for me. So because he pretty much ran all of his guys, there's no close combat or recovery phase. We go directly to the bottom of turn number 2 for the Van Saar. And as you can see in this photo, he pretty much just runs his guys into the various buildings of the terminal there to take cover from the long range fire. He's occupying all 3 levels, so that way he can engage my guys in the walkways as well. So that's pretty rough. Also, you can see he also got a couple of his Jews located there at the bottom there with their little yellow dice are. They're kind of located. They made the jump across into the MTI terminal, so that part is kind of crazy. During the recovery phase, the members of his gangs that got shot off the walkways and land on the ground, they get their flesh wound again, so they all back up on their feet. At the same time, Nero, who is the ganger, is looking at the top. He rolled a 6 on that one, so he is out of action. So chalk up another serious injury to the jury. Alright, so that takes us to the top of turn number 3 for House Cawdor with my jury. As you can see, this photo is taken directly after the move phase. Pretty much what I do is I start moving my troops down into the next level and have them start charging people within the MTI tower, so that way I can start taking those guys on close combat as well. Pretty much the rest of my gang kind of stays where they're located at as well. Not much mirror maneuvering takes place besides those really drastic charges. As you can see here, the first charge I make off is, of course, Reptile. He just kind of dives off the top of the roof and charges directly into the downed Van Saar member that's located there, so that way I can automatically put that guy out of action in close combat. At the same time, I charged out with Darkside, so I've engaged another member of the 911 right over there on the third floor of the MTI Metro Station Terminal. Also, in the very base, I decided charging my 3 Juves. I thought that maybe I could take these guys out, take on these pit slaves, see what the big deal about these guys are. I mean, they only cost 10 creds. How could they possibly be? So I charged in Mad Teddy as well as Reese as well as Sorter. They're kind of engaged each 2 of the pit slaves as well as that guy. Oh, what's his name? Swayze, I think his name. Or just Tugs. I forgot the guy. The guy who has carried 2 wounds is a ganger for the 911 as well. And as you can see in this picture on the far side, I take Johnny, I kind of turn him around so that way he can face directly down the middle of that gantry. So he just kind of start cutting loose with his plasma gun, because his plasma gun opened up with high power. So you got the sustained fire dice kicking out those guys in the center section of that walkway. It's been a turn. This guy's done overheating, so now he can open up with the plasma gun on these 2 again, which will be kind of fun. And catching from a crossfire on the left-hand side, I got all 3 of my gang members. I have Zero, as well as, what's his name? Zero? Yeah, Zero, Scorpion, as well as Lemonhead, aiming their last guns directly at the little center gantry as well. I forgot to mention this too. If you look on the left-hand side, I also dropped Riptor down 1 level, so that way you can engage in close combat or shooting during the next turn. On the far left-hand side of my deployment, in order to take on those Goliaths, I got Tetsuo as well as Mono. They're taking cover positions there along the wall with Alexander's department store, so they can take on the invading Goliaths. And I also run Jockey in VR to the very first level of the Oaktown complex, so that way I can start assaulting Stuka, Blitzkrieg Bob, as well as Grizz. During the shooting phase, I originally was going to cut loose with having my heavy stubber. I was going to have him open up originally onto the heavies for the sleeping dogs up on that water tower, but I forgot he doesn't have the marksman skill, so he has to go after the very first target that's in line of him. In this case, those are the 3 Delaques we're looking at that walkway. Ended up being actually pretty good risk for me because I cut loose. I got like something like 6 shots off with my heavy stubber. Managed to put a flush wound onto Mr. Sinister, so he's still standing. However, for both Mr. Smug as well as Silk, I managed to put those both of them down and put him out of action as well. So chalk up 2 blood for the jury, which is pretty awesome. Also during the shooting phase as well, I believe it was Johnny who was armed with this plasma gun, managed to take out both Tough Shakes as well as Bust 9, so that part was pretty impressive as well. Unfortunately for me, my 3 shots from my other 3-member gang members didn't do very good as I was hoping for originally when they're trying to shoot at the other 3 Jews who are located on the right hand side of the picture. So because of that, those Jews are just still where they're located at. And with a miraculous long-range shot, Mondo managed to hit and wound the headhunter, so that guy is now down for the count as well. Unfortunately for him, Mondo also fails Emerald as well, so both Tetsuo as well as Mondo are out of ammo for their guns, so that's actually kind of rough as well. So these guys are now dedicated close combat troops. So with the shooting phase over, we go directly to the combat phase. And during the combat phase, Darkseid managed to put a single wound onto the other member of the 911 that is fighting against a close combat. Managed to put that guy out of action, so that was pretty cool. Reptile finished off his member of the 911 and also runs back into the MTI terminal, so that we can get out of the range of direct fire coming at him by anybody at this point, because I'm dealing with 3 different gangs. And close combat was absolutely terrible for me on this round. I had all 3 of my Juves go up against these 3 members in the 911. I thought I could take him, and I think the reason why I thought I could take him with Juves is because I gotten kind of overconfident with my gang because it is so powerful at this point. I thought that that's my gang could take on anybody. Unfortunately for me, I forgot that my Juves were pretty much grand spanking new, so they have no experience really in fighting at all. So because of that, it was a half measure at best, and I just basically lost all 3 of my Juves in close combat. Hey, these guys had no problem chopping up and killing them. The only thing I was lucky on is that my opponent didn't roll any 6s with Eddie Chance, the guy with the arm of the 2 shears, because if he rolled a 6, it would have been an instant kill for wounds. I would have killed off one of my Jews right off the bat, so got kind of lucky that way. So unfortunately, I now just lost 3 Jews just like that. And to make matters worse, when I rolled for the recovery phase for Sorter, he rolled up a 6, so now that guy is out of action as well. So things are not looking too good for my gang in this one. But as a consolation prize, Mono does pass his check. He gets with a flush wound, so he's back up on his feet, but now he's -1 to his Blizzard skill as well as his weapon skill. So that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 3 for the Delaques. And once again, this photo is taken directly after the move phase. Not much more going on here except the Delaques just running as quick as they possibly can to the various positions. Unfortunately, as you can see, that we got Mr. Sinister on top of that wall. He's there because we couldn't put him on that walkway. It was just too steep, so he kept on falling off all the time. So we're just imagine that Mr. Sinister on top of that wall is in the middle of that walkway. This is actually where he's supposed to be at. So during his next move phase, he'll actually be on that main walkway during his next turn. At the same time, he takes his Jews as well as Slick. He has them go to the base of that wall so that way they're in dead space and worry about being shot at. And he also keeps the rest of his shooters where they're located at. Here's a close-up of his 3 Jews as well as Slick taking up cover positions behind that wall, getting ready to cross it here in a little bit to start engaging me. And here's a close-up of their leader, Mr. Sinister. He's supposed to be in the middle of that walkway, but he kept on falling off, so just imagine that he's there. And in the move phase over here, Tiny the Heavy, who's armed with the missile launchers out of missiles, he just kind of climbs down the bottom of the water tower back onto the ground again. So with moving over with, we go directly to the shooting phase. And in the shooting phase, everyone pretty much missed their shots. Luckily for me, Painless Joe was unable to hit anybody with his heavy stubber. He has nothing to worry about the rocket launcher. However, it ended up being Wesley, the guy armed with a sniper rifle. He takes aim directly at the Reptile, manages to hit him as well as put him down as well. So that part's pretty sad. So Reptile is now on the top of the 3rd floor. He is down and just bleeding out, waiting to get back on his feet again or to die. So things are not looking too good for my gang. I really can't take the losses that I'm taking, especially since I wasted 3 Jews in close combat. In turn 3 for the Goliath, not much really happens besides the typical move they're doing. As you can see, he runs his main column of troops close to that bridge, so now I have to worry about all 3 of these gangs. The Delaques, the Goliaths have their forces located there on that bridge. They'll be assaulting soon during the next turn. I also got to worry about the encroaching 911 guys coming after me as well, so things are not looking too good there. At the same time, the right-hand side, as you can see, the Stuka as well as Blitzkrieg Bob made it to the end of the balcony, and then unfortunately, I forgot this part when I was setting both Tetsuo as well as Mono down the street, but they have a perfect shot from that balcony towards my gang members next to Alexander's apartment store. And I've realized I made a tactical error on this part. Here's a very ominous close-up of his heavy as well as his gang leader taking aim at my guys, so that's pretty terrifying. That being said, we go directly to the shooting phase. Luckily for me in the shooting phase, Blitzkrieg Bob, he did manage to hit with his grenade launcher, but unfortunately for him, he's unable to wound. So pretty much the shrapnel that's caused with grenade launchers kind of rains down my guys, and nothing much happens from that. However, Stuco, who opens up with his heavy stubber, managed to wound as well as put down Mondo, so now that guy is out for the count, and he also managed to inflict a wound onto Tetsuo as well. That's not so bad though, because Tetsuo carries 2 wounds on his person, so he's doing pretty good on that part as well. So I got lucky on that part. So that being said, since there's no close combat recovery, we go directly to top of turn number 3 for the Van Saar. And unfortunately for 9/11, they had to bottle out because they took so many losses and so many guys are down. His gang leader has a leadership rating of 8. He rolled like an 11, so because of that, the gang just has to run away at this part. So good news is I'm not fighting 3 gangs anymore. I'm only fighting 2, but these are 2 largely at strength gangs, and yeah, things are not looking good so far for me. So with that being said, we go directly to top of turn number 4 for House Cawdor. Alright, so that takes us directly to the top of turn number 4 for the Cawdor. As you can see in this picture, I take the rest of my gang and start moving up to cover positions along the gantryways as well as the terminal for the metro. And the reason why is because I have to deal with 2 gangs coming at me now. I gotta deal with the Goliaths coming at me. They got the whole horde of fighters along that dead space zone on the river, as you can see there in the background. Also got a whole line of Delaques coming at me as well. So I have to start taking positions in order to start protecting myself. So as you can see there, I got Darkseid, put him back up to the roof again as well. I also got my 3 gangers, Zero Scorpion as well. Zero Scorpion as well as Lemonhead, occupying the 3rd floor of the MTI chemical of the metro, so that way they can start taking cover positions and start shooting there. I also move up Johnny and Riptor up to the 3rd level where Stubber's located at, so that way they can start topping off shots onto anybody who's coming across that river. So that pretty much makes it the movie here on the right hand side of my deployment area. On the left-hand side, unfortunately, Tetsuo had to stay where he's located at because he got pinned in the last round, and same thing with Mondo, he's down. So I decided, instead of trying to pull out, I decided just to kind of assault through and commit at this point. So you can see I send up Mondo, not Mondo, DJ, he's taking up his positions there to kind of protect Mondo, as well as Tetsuo, so that he can open up with his auto gun. And at the same time, I move up both Jockey as well as VR. I move them up 4 inches through the Oak Tree complex, so that way they can take shots through that doorway at Grizz, who's armed with that heavy plasma cannon, because I gotta take out that guy pretty quick. Luckily for me, my buddy Brother Grimm has been rolling kind of low for his shooters because he's been missing a lot of his shots, but if he does manage to connect one, he's gonna cause a lot of pain for my troops, so I gotta take care of that problem today. During the shooting phase, I was able to take out 2 members of the Delaques when they're located at, as you can see right there in the picture. I realized that from his position up top, Darkseid could pop that shot, and I also could take out a shot to a Johnny as well with his bolt gun. Both those guys hit. They also both wound as well. Mr. Slick, that guy is down for the count right now, so that was kind of lucky. I only got a flesh wound off onto Reckless, so that part was kind of sad. And since no one's engaged in close combat, we go directly to the recovery phase. And as you can see in this photo, I took another loss. Reptile rolled a 6 on the injury table, so now he is out of action. He will also need to roll on the serious injuries table after the battle is done. But luckily for me, Mondo recovered with a flesh wound, so now he's -1 to his weapon skill as well as a ballistic skill. And that pretty much makes it my turn for this one. Turn 4 for the Delaques is pretty much more of the same, just then we'll go assaulting across as quickly as possible. As you can see, we have Mr. Sinister. He made it to the top of the gantry, so he's located there as well. He just moved up 4 inches to running, and that's because I have a sneaking suspicion he's going to open up with his hotshot power pack laser rifle at the dark side. At the same time, he also moves up his Jews onto the bridge, so that way they can start assaulting across. Here's a close of Mr. Sinister casually walking across the bridge, getting ready to engage my troops. And here's a picture of his 3 Jews also moving up 4 inches across the bridge as well. And the reason why is because I have a single suspicion those 3 guys are going to try to shoot me on the move. So that being said, we go directly to the shooting phase. And in the shooting phase, the Jews managed to miss all their shots, so they didn't even get anything off. However, Mr. Sinister hit center of mass on a dark side, managed to put a wound on him, and also put him down for the count as well. So that was pretty sad. And at this point, I have to start taking bottle checks like every other turn because most of my guys are now down or out of action. This is not looking good. So for the Goliath during turn number 4, as you can see in this photo, he basically divides up his column of troops. He decides to take 3 members of his gang, which used to be former Druids. That's Shrimp the Shrimp, Flesh Stick, as well as Whack-A-Mole. He decides, instead of having them run towards a bridge where the other Delaques are, he just takes those guys, standing them up, climb up to the top of the wall, and that way he can take aim with his guns and actually shoot down the street. So now he's catching my Cawdor guys into a crossfire. So I was looking back now, I should have pulled my troops out of there or got them inside of the Alexander department store, because that was a huge tactical error on my part. At the same time, he takes Craze as well as what's his name, Craze and Junk Bolt, or I forgot the members of those. He takes 3 of his members. He gets Rager, Craze, and Crank. That's right. Those three guys, they start moving towards that walkway there in the middle of the bridge, so that way they can kind of cross over with the Delaque and then come assaulting in my position. And luckily for me, during the shooting phase, all of his shots pretty much missed, which I was really, really lucky on. So those guys could have easily chopped at my Cawdor guys, so I got really lucky on that part. So that being said, we go directly to top of turn number 5 for the Cawdor. Alright, this is a photo taken directly after the move phase. As you can see, not much movement is really taking place on this right-hand side. The only thing I did is I had my 3 last gun packing gangers walk through the MTI terminal onto the other side, so that way they can start putting shots down on the Delaque. And here's a close-up of that. You can see I got Lemon Head, Scorpion, as well as Zero taking up their positions right there in that doorway. At the same time, I also moved my troops VR as well as Jockey right through the door, so that I have a Jockey aim with a shotgun directly at Grizz. I also got VR turned to take on both Blitzkrieg Bop as well as Stuka. That guy VR is actually pretty deadly in close combat. He's got Berserker Charge as well as a gunfire ability, so hopefully I can be able to take out those guys with shooting and then charge in my next turn, take out those guys. And I apologize, I made a mistake when it came to the shooting phase. Actually, the Goliaths did manage to get a wound off. They got a wound off onto Tetsuo as ended up happening, so he got flesh wounded is what it was. So they hit him one more time with wounds, now he's carrying a flesh wound. I apologize for that feature. As you can see in this photo as well, I start taking all 3 of these guys and start moving them down the street again. I only move them up conservatively a couple of inches because my plan is to have these guys get close up to shoot up at that balcony and take on the guy shooting at, and hopefully they can take those guys out. During the shooting phase, I had all 3 of my gangers armed with last guns open on Mr. Sinister. Not only did they also inflict a wound, but they also caused him to fall as well. He also takes another wound for his trouble. He's now carrying 2 flesh wounds, and he's also down for right now, so that part's pretty epic. During the shooting phase, you can see in this photo too, I also managed to blow those guys right off the bridge as well. I took Ghost, I shot him, knocked him off the bridge, and this is all by Stubber, by the way. Stubber did most of the shooting in this part. And Stubber also managed to take off the point man, which is Reckless. Not only did he shoot him, he shot him off the bridge, and when he fell off the bridge, because he failed his initiative test, he landed right in the middle of the sludge, and so because of that, he now is out of action as well. So that part was kind of cool. And also during the shooting phase, I took Tetsuo, had a lot of frag grenade directly at these 3 Goliath members on the wall. Managed to inflict 2 wounds. I managed to inflict a wound onto Flesh Stick, so he is down for the count. Also managed to inflict a wound onto Trip the Shrimp as well. He also failed his initiative test and fell to the side, but it's just a wall, so there's not much going on there. However, I only managed to put a flesh wound on that guy, so he's got -1 to his ballistic skill as well as to his weapon skill as well. And during recovery phase, Darkseid just lays there, keeps on bleeding. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 5 for the Delaque. As you can see in this photo, he just basically takes Noob, runs across the bridge anyways, continues on with the plan that they've previously made with Brother Grimm, so they're assaulting across the bridge. At the same time, Tiny is making his way to the pylon in order to move across the board and try to help out as much as he can because he's got a missile launcher that doesn't work. However, it's during the shooting phase that some really horrible stuff happens. First of all, Painless Joe opens up with his heavy stubber. Not only does he manage to wound my guy, Stubber, my heavy, who's armed with heavy stubber, but he also wounds him and puts him out of action as well. So now my heavy is gone. Plus, he also managed to put a wound off onto Johnny as well, and Johnny is now carrying a wound as far as trouble as well. If you notice, we also have a little misfire icon right next to Johnny, and that's represent the fact that he opened up with a plasma gun, so that way next turn his gun will cool down and he'll be able to use it again. So things are not looking good for my gang. And during the Delaque recovery phase, Sergeant Sigmarine's gang members, his Juve, Ghost, as well as his member Slick, they both recover. They both got flesh wounds, so they have -1 to the ballistic skill as well as a weapon skill. So that being said, we go directly to bottom of turn number 5 for the Goliaths. And something absolutely terrifying and shocking happens during turn number 5. What happens in turn number 5 is that my opponent, Brother Grimm, decides to backstab the Delaque. And a move that is very uncharacteristically very Goliath, because Goliaths are usually pretty hard-headed and very aggressive and all about using strength and dominance. He decides to turn the tables on his opponent, his ally, who is Sergeant Sigmarine on that part. So as you can see in the top of the photo, he takes Craze as well as Crank. He has been charged directly into Slick as well as to the Ghost as well. So those guys are now engaged in close combat. He also takes Rager, puts him on top of the bridge, aims a shotgun directly at the poor guy Noob. At the same time, he also charges indirectly with his heavy as well as his gang leader into VR as well as into Jockey. So that part's kind of rough. So they deal with those guys in close combat. And here's a close-up of both Craze and Crank charging. Sorry, not Craze and Crank. I made a mistake on that one. I'm sorry. Craze, he charged directly into Ghost, so he's engaged in close combat. You got Ragers armed with the shotgun. He's engaged in close combat with Slick. At the same time, you also have Crank who's on the top of the bridge, getting ready to open up with his bolt gun onto Noob as well. So yeah, I did not see that coming. I thought Brother Grimm was going to stick with Sergeant Sigmarine, but nope. He decided to jump the gun. I guess he's starting to smell blood in the water. That's why. During the shooting phase, Craze did put a wound onto Noob, however he also failed his initial check, and when he failed his check, Noob fell into the sludge, so now he's out of action, so Chalk went up for the Goliath, so with shooting phase over, go directly to the combat phase. And in the combat phase, Craze put the hurting onto Ghost Man to take that guy out and move directly to take on Slick. Unfortunately for Brother Grimm, Slick did manage to survive, so because of that, combat ended up being a draw between both Slick as well as Ragers. So those two guys are now staring off on each other. And because VR as well as Jockey are beast mode, they managed to take out Stuka, so that guy is now down for the count as well. Unfortunately for me, however, my opponent Blitzkrieg Gog did put a wound onto VR, but VR has 2 wounds, he's carrying an additional one. And as you see, Jock is now engaged with Blitzkrieg Bob. We're going to take that guy out now by ganging up on him. So that pretty much makes the combat phase on this one. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of turn number 6 with Cawdor. But unfortunately for me, because I have so many casualties, I have to take a bottle test. As you can see in that photo there, I rolled perfect box cars for my general. My leader does not have Iron Will, so you cannot re-roll his leadership test. So because of that, I bottle out, so things are not looking good for the Cawdor. So we go to the Delaque, and unfortunately for them, he rolls a 10, and he's only got a leadership of 8, so because of that, the Delaque also bottle out as well. And as crazy as it sounds, the Pelago-Slam Kings actually pull off the win on this one. Brother Grimm, after having a huge losing streak, managed to secure victory for his troops by using some manipulation and some backstabbing movements, so he's able to do that. So because of that, the Goliaths win the Dome Rush. They get to claim the territories that they get from the Dome as well, and because of that, the Goliaths achieve a victory, a really hard-earned victory, and I was just surprised that he actually got it off, so that's amazing for my buddy Brother Grimm. So that's going to do it for this battle report, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go directly to the post-game because this battle report is now officially over. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the post-game. We're going to start off with the Pelago-Slam Kings. For their injuries, Stuka as well as Porter, they actually both made full recoveries, so that because of that, don't worry about taking any injury tables. Because of the amounts of 8+8 experience points for the underdog bonuses for taking me on, they actually made quite a few experience for this one, as well as advancements. Blitzkrieg Bob earned the rapid fire skill, Stuka got +1 to his ballistic skill, Rager got +1 to his initiative, Porter got +1 to his attack, Whack-A-Mole learned the specialist skill, so now that guy is also now be able to carry special weapons. Gage got the weaponsmith skill, the Headhunter got +1 to his wounds. Scalp Taker learned the step aside as well as skill, as well as get +1 to his leadership. Crank got +1 to his ballistic skill and knows the specialist role as well. So now both those guys are packing heavier weapons. Flesh Dick got +1 to his initiative, and Trip the Shrimp was promoted to a Ganger and got +1 to his attack as well. In their territories, because of this, my buddy Brother Grimm, he has like horrible luck when it comes to 9 dice. He rolled his 3d6 because what happens is you get 3d6 times 10 creds that goes directly to your income. He rolled 3 ones, so he got 30 credits from the territory they got. However, because he rolled a triple on the 3d6, he gets 2 new territories. So he got Events territory as well as a Settlement territory, so now he's carrying 7 territories, which is very, very good for his gang. He earned 30 credits from the scenario, but he gained 2 territories, so that's the trade-off. He also got 100 credits from Giant Killer bonus because he won this battle report, so that was also pretty cool. So he earned 266 credits from his territories as well, combined all together, and with a net profit of 105 credits. In the end, he decided to buy a Flamer for Whack-A-Mole as well as a Plasma Gun for Crank, so now he's got a couple of heavies in his gang. His new gang rating is at 2,818 points, and his current record is at 3 wins as well as 7 losses. Alright, so let's talk about the Sleeping Dogs now. For the Sleeping Dogs, for injuries, actually for a lot of his members of his gang, he actually started somewhere kind of lucked out. Mr. Smug, Silk, as well as Noob, they all made full recoveries. Ghost got impressive scars, he's got +1 to his leadership, and Reckless also made a full recovery as well, so they're doing very, very well for themselves. For their experience, once again, because the Giant Killer bonuses as well, for their experiences, Painless Joe got rapid fire skill as well as +1 to his wounds, so now he's even a deadlier heavy. Mr. Smug got +1 to his ballistic skill as well as the rapid fire skill. Silk got +1 to her ballistic skill as well as into her weapon skill. Slick got +1 to his initiative. Wesley got +1 to his ballistic skill. Miss Spectre got +1 to her weapon skill. Noob learned their specialist skill, so that guy will be able to now to carry heavy weapons as well. Ghost got +1 to his weapon skill, and Reckless was promoted to a Ganger and got +1 to his wounds. After working the territories, they managed to raise 180 credits from their territories, ended with a profit of 65 credits. In the end, they purchased a Flamer as well as a stub gun. They gave the Flamer over to Noob because he's now their new Flamer because he's got the specialist skill, and they hired a new Juve named Zed who's armed with a stub gun. This current gang rating now is at 2,501 points, and his current record is at 3 wins as well as 2 losses. Now let's talk about 9/11 House Van Saar. For the injuries, they lucked out really well on this one. Almost everyone did pretty much for the injuries. Bustin' 9, Moloko, Swayze, Tough Shakes, as well as Nero, they all made full recoveries. For their experience, because of the differences in experience, they also got some Giant Killer bonuses for that one. Chopper got +1 to his toughness. Swayze learned the evade skill. Sojax got +1 to his blizzard skill. Tough Shakes got +1 to his attack. Mega Man got +1 to his leadership, which is going to cause some problems here in a second. Nero got quick-witted skill. FNG got +1 to his ballistic skill and crack shot skill. Hallows got +2 to his weapon skill, +1 to his ballistic skill, and Grim got +1 to his initiative and +1 to his attack. Like I said before, Mega Man actually got a +1 to his leadership, so Mega Man actually has a higher initiative than his original leader, Bustanine. So because of that, they have to go down through a challenge. And when it comes to Van Saar, there's only one way to run a challenge, and that is with a shootout. So because of that, Bustanine and Mega Man, they walk down the Lonely Mile. So kind of think of this as a bonus battle report, and they're going to shoot it out here in a second. So here we are on the top of the gantry walkway. We have Mega Man as well as Bustanine right across from each other from the Lonely Mile. Shootout rules is, of course, they each roll a d6. First one to break 15 points is the one that draws first. If you roll a 6, it counts as 0 points. They keep on moving towards each other. They're 8 inches apart, and then they shoot it out. So with that being said, plus some background music, show you the totals of the dice right behind them. We'll talk about exactly what happened afterwards. Alright, Bustanine broke his nerve first, so they both shoot it out. Unfortunately for Bustanine, Mega Man got to go first. He managed to put down as well as wound and put down Bustanine, so that guy is down. So because of that, he automatically goes first. Mega Man charges into Bustanine during the move phase, that we engage in close combat. And because Bustanine is already down, Mega Man automatically wins by inflicting him, so now Mega Man is now the brand new leader of 9/11, which is actually kind of interesting because Mega Man originally started off as a Juve. So because of that, we're going to talk about the rest of the gang here in a second. Alright, so because Mega Man also wins a little mini challenge during the shootout phase, he gets +1 to his, he gets +1 to his weapon skill, and he also becomes a new gang leader as well, so because of that, he'll be now leading his gang from now on. Bustanine, when you roll off of the original leader, when you roll off to see exactly what happens to him, it can get pretty bad. If you roll pretty low, this guy can go away, decides not to come back. Option 2, he becomes a hired gang that you have to pay all the time, or option number 3, which happened here, he becomes loyal, and Bustanine now becomes a ganger. So now he's related back to ganger status, so he keeps all of his gear and everything else like that. So now he's now a ganger, and Nero's been promoted to leader now, and he also gains a gang leader skill as well, which is actually pretty crazy. The remainder of 9/11 do work their territories. They get 85 credits in profit from their territory. 85 credits from their territories. They get 30 credits in profit. They decide to use the merchant to rehire Plunkett, McLean, as well as Eddie Chance, so they got the 3 flint slaves back as well. Their new gang rating now is at 2,323 points, and their current record is at 5 wins as well as 5 losses. And finally, of course, we have the Jury of House Cawdor. So let's go and talk about them real quick. Like I said before, we all pretty much got pretty lucky on our injury rolls on this one. Stubber, Reptile, Reese, Tango, as well as Red Harvest, they all made full recoveries. We rolled a lot of 4s and 5s for this battle report, so that was actually kind of nice. Mad Teddy, unfortunately for him, he's got old battle wounds, so he'll need to roll off every time to see if he actually participates, just like VR has to. For my experience, I actually got quite a lot of experience on this one, and it kind of makes sense because of all the wounds I was inflicting because I was taking on 3 different gangs. Stubber, he got the Iron Will skill, so now he can reroll his leadership tests. Sorter got +1 to his weapon skill. Lemonhead got +1 to his initiative. Tetsuo got +1 to his weapon skill. Scorpion learned the specialist skill, so he could also equip special weapons now. Mondo got +1 to his weapon skill. Reptile got +1 to his weapon skill. Johnny got +1 to his ballistic skill and +1 to his toughness. Jockey got the killer rep skill, and Reese got +1 to his weapon skill. For my territories, I ended up earning 60 credits from the mine workings because I still have that territory. I also managed to scavenge 60 credits from forging for a total of 120 credits. I then sent out Red Harvest, and for Ratskin Scouts, if you send them out and you get to roll to see if they find anything, he found a gambling den, which we looted and raised for about 120 credits in profit, because whenever you find a territory, you have to loot it and you get the max amount of credits for a grand total of 312 credits. And this is where I actually was on the fence, because I now had enough credits to actually pay off my outlaw bounty, which was 322, and that way I can get new territories and, you know, carry on being a normal gang again. However, I do like being an outlaw more because you get to keep more of the money you make as a gang. So because of that, I decided to spend my money instead, and I also bought a last cannon is what I decided to do. So now Sorter, my second heavy, he is now packing last cannon. I then gave Sorter's grenade launcher with all of his grenades to Scorpions. He's got the specialist skill, so now he's packing that from now on. I then sold my choke gas grenades for 7 creds. I plus the remaining 19 creds into my stash after hiring a Red Harvest. My new gang rating now is at 3,896 points, and my current record now is at 8 wins as well as 1 loss. So that's good to do for this one, ladies and gentlemen. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Also check out Facebook, Instagram, as well as Google Plus for all the latest and greatest in our hobby. This was a pretty awesome battle report, having 4 gangs fight it out, and it was kind of like a piece de resistance for our Tales in the Underhive campaign. We'll be still keeping more of these battle reports for you guys of you out later on. So you guys, as always, you guys stay classy. We guys will see you on the flip side. Peace out.